Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here. Today I want to talk about something that is technically not new at all. We all just somehow collectively failed to notice it, which honestly makes the whole thing a little bit funnier. IO Interactive has this creator program for 007 First Light. It's been sitting there on their site and on Keymailer since around the time of the first trailer, so this has been out for months. It's not a leak or a secret or anything especially unusual in the industry. It's just very badly written marketing that nobody looked at until now. And by badly written, I mean I thought at first this might be a parody post. But let's go through what's there to understand why I needed a moment, why some people are reacting the way they are, and what this kind of program actually means for the creators and for the players, and also for the trust in new games in general. To understand why this rubbed me and some other people the wrong way, we need to look at the last few years in gaming. People haven't just randomly stopped trusting game journalists and early reviewers. That didn't happen because of, let's say, one buggy launch. It's been building for a long time. On one hand, you have all the usual technical stuff that gets quietly swept under the rug in the previews, like performance problems, half-broken systems, downgraded graphics, missing features, all the nice little nasty surprises. On the other, a lot of players are quite wary of what's so politely called modernization and less politely called woke DI nonsense. Forced diversity where it makes no sense, race-swapped characters from established stories, completely redesigned faces, women suddenly built like Mike Tyson, tone shifts that have nothing to do with the original material, and then everyone is told to pretend this is all bold and refreshing. If a game is based on a book, a movie, or decades of canon, and suddenly the characters and tone are unrecognizable, people will notice, and usually don't like it. And when early coverage just smiles and claps like a happy seal and says nothing, that's where you lose the trust. Because those are exactly the things that never get mentioned in these nice polished previews. You watch a glowing early review for a dark, gritty game originally supposed to be called Dreadwolf, and then the game launches and suddenly what you're getting is Failguard. And that's exactly why people don't trust early coverage anymore. But back to the company and game I want to talk about. With Bond, people already had concerns just from the trailers, aside from the game devs saying that this is a reimagined James Bond origin story. Some familiar characters clearly aren't the same as in the movies. Some designs look, let's say, very current year, and given the track record of the industry, players are on edge. They've seen this play out before. So when a studio launches a creator program that essentially says, we are going to reward you for creating lots of pre-launch content, but only under our rules and supervision, you can imagine why people's bullshit radar goes off.
Bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
Now let's talk about these creator programs in general. A few years ago, most of the hype and early messaging went through traditional game journalists. Preview trips, special presentations, early codes, paid advertisement, the usual theater. Then people stopped trusting them because they were oftentimes either straight out lying or forgot to mention something, which isn't a surprise considering they've been either directly or indirectly paid by the studios for their articles. Sites started shrinking, going under, or getting roasted regularly by players who were tired of the whole circus and blatantly manipulated reviews. By the way, if you're interested, you can check out my vid exactly for this topic about IGN's non-existent credibility, which I'll be linking at the end of this one. So the industry just pivoted into a new group to use for their marketing strategy, the content creators. For the gamers, on paper, the creators are one of us. Normal people playing games, sharing their opinions.
It's one of us. Google gobble, one of us. We accept them, one of us. Google gobble, one of us.
In reality, a lot of them are now filling the exact same role journalists used to fill, just for way less money. And this is where the perks come in. Free game keys, paid trips, hotel stays, closed-door presentations, exclusive footage, concept art and materials nobody else has, access that translates directly into views, watch time and therefore money. Technically, a lot of them will say, "But I wasn't paid." But when your flights, hotel and the content pipeline are covered, or at least you can deduct the hotel and the flight from your taxes, you're getting a head start that others don't have and you can monetize it on Twitch or YouTube, then that is payment. It's just not a paycheck with the word salary written on it. And before someone in the comments writes the usual, "You're just jealous you're not invited," well, sorry to disappoint, but no, I'm not. Simply because I'm absolutely not interested. I consider this my hobby and I don't rely on YouTube for my full income, but more importantly, I'd rather be able to say what I actually think about a game or a studio on this channel without a filter and without some overlord censorship than to wonder if I'm about to lose my next free ticket with each next tweet. And I think you have already noticed that. In other words, I really value my personal integrity more than a few dollars and some concept art.
Weird.
If I review a game, I want to be able to say this part is great and this part is trash, without worrying that some manager is going to quietly put my name somewhere on a blacklist. Because that's the whole point of these programs. Control. If you're under an NDA, if you're bound by their rules, there are entire categories of things you simply cannot talk about. Or if the studio overlords allow you to say something to sound more genuine, then it's usually very limited and presented as just a minor hiccup and nothing that would impact the game's quality. No. You can't talk about the bugs, you can't talk about the broken systems, you can't talk about the performance issues, you can't talk about the lore rewrites, the character swaps, some weird DEI injections, some tone changes, a shitty story or childish dialogues. Not in any honest way. And that's exactly the stuff the players care about. Especially throughout the last few years. Many already had enough.
No boogers.
Now to IOI's 007 Creator Program. The wording basically gamifies obedience, if I can put it this way. You create, share and engage, you earn points, and if you rack up enough of those points, you can claim a game key at launch. Restreaming the official gameplay event, that earns the most points. Posting content on certain dates, more points. Showing up on command like a good little pet, again, points. And if you earn over 100 points but don't make the top cut, you get entered into a raffle for a chance to win a key. A raffle for a game key.
You serious?
Just pause and think about that. You're essentially doing free marketing labor for a company, helping them sell pre-orders as the faithful little megaphone that you are, for the chance to not have to pay $70 like everybody else. If a friend told you, "Hey, I'm going to promote someone's product for 2 months straight for free, and in return I might win a coupon," you would tell them probably to stop embarrassing themselves. Yet when a studio wraps this in a creator program or partner program, suddenly people act like it's an honor. Other studios at least dress it up better. IOI just took the mask off and said, "We are literally awarding you points for being useful to our marketing campaign." And again, the funniest part, this was never hidden. When I first saw the screenshot on Twitter, I honestly thought, nah, this has to be edited. How come nobody from the bigger channels talked about that yet? So when I went to the IOI creator page, then to the Keymailer page, it's exactly the same text. No Photoshop, no tricks or anything. It's there. It's there in the open. People just didn't pay attention because, frankly, who has the time to go through every creator program page for every upcoming game? Normally only those who are interested in it, and so far nobody bothered to mention it anywhere. Only now I've noticed this recent post on Twitter, or X, and a couple of people wrote, wait, what? Like, what the hell? Don't get me wrong, I'm not stupid or naive not to know that this is the basis of all the creator programs, well, more or less. But it's the wording that's just so ridiculously blatant. It says here, all videos are subject to review and validity checks to earn points. In other words, be a good pet and behave, and we might reward you with some ridiculously cheap little trinkets if we approve every word you say. I don't know who thought this phrasing was a good idea, but honestly, that PR person clearly forgot what the saying "read the room" means, especially in 2025. I understand why people sign up for these programs as creators. You get a bit more visibility, you get the early access, you get to say I was chosen, which feels good probably. You might get to go to an event, shake some hands, get a selfie with a dev.
Nah, just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Short term, it's flattering. I get that. Short term, it can even be good for your numbers. But long term, you're playing with your own reputation. Every time you praise something under these conditions and the game comes out in a worse state than what you implied, people will remember. They might not unsubscribe instantly, but they will quietly move you into the mental category of, yes, as what the publisher wants to hear. And the more that happens, the more people will just stop watching early access content altogether. Not because they hate the specific creator or creators in general, but because they assume that everything labeled as a preview or early review or partnered content is sanitized. In the end, that hurts everyone. It hurts the viewers because they have nowhere to go for actual early impressions. It hurts honest creators because they get lumped in with the shills. And it hurts the creators in these programs because once their audience stops trusting them, those perks won't save their channel. You can't build a long-term community on short-term freebies and half-truths. At some point, you have to decide whether your viewers matter more than your access and a game for free. Now, just to be clear, this doesn't suddenly make 007 First Light a bad game. The gameplay we've seen so far is great, and I liked it. IOI knows how to handle stealth and style, and I think the game has really big potential. What this does change for me is how I look at anything that comes out of this creator program, or in general before the game's release. If someone is inside this system, earning points, hoping for keys, maybe dreaming of that nice event invite down the line, I'm going to assume they are not free to say everything they think. Not about bugs, not about the state of the build, not about performance, and definitely not about any story or modernization choices that might upset people. So I'll rather wait. I'll watch the real player impressions after launch. I'll listen to people who bought the game with their own money and don't owe IOI anything. And until then, well, looking at a pre-launch creator content tied to a points systems for rewards, nah, thanks. I've seen how that story plays out. And it's not just me who feels this way. You can see that on the replies to the post. This pertains to most creator or partnership programs. Nobody will come forward and talk about it, but their videos and what they say online are watched by employees. I would love for these programs to be exposed. This would explain the community in all the gaming fandoms. Thanks for leaking this. It proves that most social media posts we see today from creators are paid for. Lol. So make good press or you don't get access? They're not defeating the journalistic integrity allegations from the Gamergate era, are they? This is really spot on, this one. And I think this one hits the jackpot for me. It's exactly what I think about it. I don't trust anyone who gets access. They are automatically biased. So that's where I'm at with this whole IOI creator program situation. Not shocked, sadly, a little bit amused, as you have noticed, and mostly just shaking my head at how openly this kind of thing is being presented now. This really isn't the right time to word your demands this way when the trust into gaming journalism is at an all-time low, when game studios are getting shut down and layoffs impact the entirety of the industry. Most of the time related to studios making bad games, advertising them through paid shills and media as something they are not, and then getting the ire of the gamers after the release when all these bad games simply flop.
How much did we lose today?
$1 billion.
And yesterday?
$1 billion.
I'll definitely keep my eyes on the game. I'm still very interested in it. Just wanted to point out the way their creator program works, so that you can keep this in mind when watching or reading anything before the release. But let me know in the comments what you think. Would you still trust a review or a preview if you knew the creator was literally being scored like this by the studio? Or do you not mind at all? Or are you already at the point where you just wait for day one player impressions the same way as I am? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you like this vid, don't forget to hit the like button and share. I'd be very grateful for that. Thank you very much for watching, stay tuned and game on!